Lily with the Center for Political Innovation just attended a peace rally by Massachusetts Peace Action in the Boston Common against a NATO no-fly zone in Ukraine.
The arrogance of the stupid bastards to get us involved in war so that they can make profits off of war. That's crime against humanity.
The cause goes back 40 years when NATO violated the promise it made to Russia to not move east.
The U.S. has much to blame in terms of how this came about, in terms of squeezing Russia with NATO expansion. But now Zelensky spoke to Congress yesterday and called for a no-fly zone, and some politicians are supporting it. We're very concerned about that because it could lead to escalation, it could lead to direct conflict between U.S. and Russian forces, and ultimately it could lead to a World War III.
Well, ironically, Zelensky ran as a peace candidate. But Zelensky, and the thing that isn't discussed much, especially in the peace movement in this country, is that Zelensky's regime is crawling with radical fascist elements of the Banderite stripe that have blocked him from making peace. In fact, they've threatened him with death if he negotiates, and it's a credible threat.
Ukraine is just the grass in the struggle between the U.S. and Russia. You have the great powers here fighting, and small countries in the middle get squashed, and that's what's happening here.
And that dumbass Zelensky jumps in bed with the Americans to stand against his neighbor, a country 10,000 miles away or whatever it is, to stand against his neighbor, the Russians.
Pretty obvious at this point that Washington's strategy is going to be to continue to flood Ukraine with anti-armor weapons in order to degrade the Russian military, and at least that's their thinking, and try to trap Russia into another military disaster. I don't think it's going to work. I think Russia is hip to this, and the problem is that people who are going to suffer are going to be Ukrainian civilians.
U.S. would be fine if Ukraine turned into Afghanistan, an endless war, morass. That would be perfect for the U.S. strategists because it would just bog the Russians down. No, we don't care about Ukraine. We just care about power. I shouldn't say we. The people who run this country are really not we, but we tend to call them America.
The Americans are all for it because who pays for it? The Ukrainian people are going to get slaughtered. Not the Americans, not the Russians. The Ukrainian people who gets. He put his own country out there for slaughter. That's stupid and criminal. He isn't a hero. He's a mass murderer.
Actually, they have a 15-point agreement they're working on. It was in the Financial Times yesterday. And they should finish that up and get that done. And the U.S. should help instead of insisting that we fight on.
So all this talk in the peace movement in this country about this hand-wringing and this garment-rending about civilians, and then at the same time supporting military aid to the Ukraine is the most hypocritical bullshit I've ever heard. And it goes from the bottom to the top of liberal America, and I'm sick of it.